Hey Spuddies, Potato Big Whiskey here, and welcome back to Let's Play Civilization 7 as Simon Bolivar, where I forgot to hit record when I started playing today. So we're going to go ahead and load back to turn 1. Right, so for just a quick refresher, we are playing Simon Bolivar, who gains +1 free war support on his wars. And we get a bonus that we can build a constructible building for free when we capture a settlement, and unrest does not prevent purchasing. And we have enhanced these abilities by grabbing ourselves the Gate of All Nations, which gives us war support, and also the militaristic attributes that give us an extra war support. So we have +4 war support on our empire in any war, defensive or offensive, which is quite exciting. We also brought an extra militaristic attribute point, so we have that +1 settlement limit, and we have the cultural attribute point here as well. And in order to make the most of that, I'm going to go ahead and grab myself the 10% production towards building wonders. We are going to be playing as Bulgaria in this video. And Bulgaria is particularly interesting because they have the ability Crumb's Dynasty, which gives them a food bonus every time they pillage improvements equal to 50% of the yield or the heal that is pillaged. So if we pillage for 30 health, that's 15 food to all of our towns, which is really quite powerful. We also gain a combat strength penalty when we're attacking districts that are defended with medieval walls, and we get a production boost towards the Relic Monastery. Now, this is actually an important point where we talk about the Relic Monastery, which is unlocked at the heraldry technology. The Relic Monastery gives you a relic every time you build a wonder, but also it has 3 relic slots, and we get a 30% production boost towards it. So we're going to want to build this as Bulgaria because we want relics. Why do we want relics? Well, it's very simple. Our combat units receive +5 combat strength when we have at least 5 relics on display. Now, we could unlock the Relic Monastery through here, but what I want to do is try to rush the +5 combat strength bonus from relics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Piety into Inspiration, into Society Mastery, and go for the House of Wisdom, because that extra +2 science from all the relics will be really useful, as well as the +1 settlement limit. I'm thinking this could be quite a useful direction to go. And then once we get there, we'll start filling out our unique civics for all the benefits that they provide. The Bulgarian unique civics are actually quite good. You've got like the Hidden Fortress, which gives you production. You've got False Retreat, which gives you production in all your cities when you pillage buildings. Really quite powerful. We're going to want to try and get that online before we actually start doing war. Our main objective in the early game is going to be explore and to set up and get our army commanders out into the water in preparation for the conquest of the distant lands. Now, in order to unlock the Relic Monastery, we're going to need astronomy and machinery. So I'm going to start with astronomy so that we can get the observatory, because the observatory is going to give us the science to kind of push through this tech tree a little bit faster, because we're also going to want to get some shipbuilding. In terms of our legacy paths, I'm going to go for a bit of an unorthodox legacy path here, which is something I've never done before. I'm going to take +2 settlement limit, which is not that unusual, alongside 2 expansionist attribute points, which again is not that unusual. We want this for the extra food from our warehouse buildings to push up growth in our cities. I'm also going to go ahead and grab myself 2 diplomatic attribute points so we can get extra happiness across our empire. And this is where things are going to differ slightly. I'm going to go for Master Caravaneer, so we get that +5 gold for every trade route that we had in antiquity. That's a lot of gold, right? Imagine if this age lasts about 100 turns. That's about 7,500 gold over the course of an age, and that's really not that bad. It's quite good, in fact. We'll also take ourselves a economic attribute point, and this is the part that's unorthodox, right? The Master Caravaneer. I'm also going to go ahead and grab myself the scientific attribute point. I'm going to grab 2 of them, and we're going to go ahead and confirm those legacies. Now, we have a few orders of business to take care of, right? Diplomatic points, we're going to grab +1 happiness per age, which is going to be +2 happiness because we are in the exploration age. We're also going to grab ourselves +1 happiness and settlements from each resource assigned to them. This is going to help us deal with the fact that we will be over our settlement limit for the majority of this age. I'm also going to grab myself a 15% gold boost towards purchasing in all settlements so that any gold that we do get goes a little bit further. On the expansionist side of things, we do have the option of going either for 10% growth rate in our cities or +1 food per age in warehouse buildings. I'm going to go for the food per age in warehouse buildings because I actually want to go down this right side here and get to the specialization boosts, because that's the style of play that I like to do. When it comes to the scientific side of things, I'm going to go for the +1 science per age in palace and city halls, as well as the 25% science towards researching tech masteries. We don't actually plan on building that many buildings, so we don't need the production boost or the gold and happiness towards maintaining buildings. We're mostly going to be focusing on expanding our empire. Now, coming into Carthage, we are going to want to fill out all of these army commanders that we have. In particular, we're going to want to fill them out with cavalry and archers. So I'm going to deposit all of my infantry into my homelands. And I think at the very start of this age, mostly what we're going to be focusing on is the purchasing of boats. But before we do that, we want to plug in our social policy card, Quinquirium, which gives us a gold boost towards boats and lowers their maintenance cost. I'll also plug in Gaulos, which gives us a gold boost towards buildings on coast or navigable rivers. We could start building Tarkans, we could start building Bolyars. It would be nice to have a few Bolyars to fill out these army commanders, because there's a lot of infantry in these army commanders that don't necessarily fit into my plans, because I mostly want to be using high movement speed cavalry units so that we can do a lot of pillaging, or ranged units so we can do damage without taking damage. We're going to take these units and make sure we fill out our empire with garrison units. I think having a healthy garrison is always useful. I'm going to take out the bonus resources out of my capital because I would much rather have the gypsum because they're worth +3 production each. And then I'll slip in a couple of jade here just to make a little bit more money. We will pop into Carthage. We'll buy ourselves a cog. I think we want to get at least 4 cogs. We have 1, we have 2. So 2 more is probably the play. I'll grab one up here, maybe in Rozgunier. And we're going to immediately get started on piety because we want to rush all the way to society mastery. We'll start sending our archers down to the capital for the purpose of preparing to join the war front. I might actually open with the bazaar here so that we can get a lot of gold in my capital. And we're going to use our influence to befriend Shangjing next turn, see if we can't make friends with those. And I'm going to take feudal monarchy because I want to be able to build cavalry units really fast in my empire. I do think these other ones can be quite a bit better, but I like feudal monarchy. Just, it feels thematically, I don't think it's good. I want to be clear, okay? Sometimes I make decisions not because they are good, but because it is a style of play that appeals to me. And I want to make it very clear that I am not always trying to optimize every single decision that I make in a game of Civilization. Sometimes I am trying to make a decision that I think will be fun. And I do not think the decision I just made there with that particular unit, I do not think that was a good decision. I think it was a fun decision. I'm going to buy myself a cog in Leptis. I've got a cog over in Carthage, a cog in Leptis, and I'll probably grab one up in Rusicade right there. And we'll send that one out as well. We're fortifying all of our units inside our cities. And so next turn, we're going to be probably picking a few cities to convert. And the big thing is we want to look for cities with high production or high production potential. So if we take a look at Utica, right, it's got 30 production plus a stone cutter available in it. And that's pretty good potential. So I'll grab Utica and then I'll go ahead and build the stone cutter. And I think this tile right here is perfectly fine. You know what? I'll actually put it in the capital. All right, let's start our ocean voyage. I don't know if we're going to find anything, if we're going to get anywhere. We'll go ahead and befriend Shangjing, because we would love to get these guys under our belt for suzerainty, for the combat strength. And I gotta say, man, with this latest patch, I have just been playing Civ 7 with a smile on my face. Like, this game feels so much better than it used to. I'm gonna go ahead and build the stone cutter in the capital here. It's +5 production right there on that tile. I want to get those nice stone cutter buildings up really early into the game so you can start benefiting from them. I think Hippo is another good candidate for production. It's got 35 production. Hadramedum is actually a surprisingly good candidate for a city too, but I'm going to convert Hippo next. And remember, converting a town to a city actually quadruples the value of the town's production in terms of like turning it into stuff. So it is a highly valuable thing to do. And if you're trying to be optimal and efficient, it is something you should consider doing in almost all of your cities, in all of your towns. But we have started to find the new lands here. Now, I kind of cheated by mistake by accidentally not loading up the correct or forgetting to hit record, but I'm trying not to like play around the knowledge that I have. I'm trying to make decisions that I would have made anyway. Let's grab this fish. We like the food. And I think a general rule of thumb is if your city is growing in less than 15 turns and you're like at the start of the age, you're good to let it keep growing. If you're like about 30% of the way through the age and it's taking 20 turns, you're best to give it a specialization. And that's kind of like a general vibes rule of thumb that I've begun to follow, and it's kind of served me pretty well. Hadramedum, I think I would like to convert this into a city next turn, so we'll kind of move towards that. I have all these great admirals and generals and stuff just sitting around chilling. We might be able to get onto land here. Oh, that's huge if we can get on land there. That's big. So coming into Leptis, this city doesn't have a whole lot of tiles to grow to, so we may as well just let it to continue to grow. And I think Hadramedum is going to be a good city. It's got 30 production. 30 production feels about a good baseline for a city in this age. I'll go ahead and grab the stone cutter in there, start developing it. And yeah, we're chilling on these Tarkans. Can you get teleported into this Tarkan? Awesome. So the real power of the Tarkan is when they pillage, you get food out of it. Oh, this poor boat is going to die, isn't it? Almost certainly. Let's grab this coastal edifice. I don't want to take damage, so I'll take the 100 science. That's fine by me. And I'm hopeful to get over here and find that. Let's scout down around here a little bit. Now, I want to have a little bit of a think. Do I want to convert another city? I actually don't think I do. I think I'm pretty happy with the number of cities that I have. So what I will quickly do is I'll buy myself one more more cog, and then I'm going to look to start buying buildings in my towns to sort of get them up and running, start turning them into specialized towns, all that sort of stuff. We've got a grow town in Maleth. Now I'm trying to avoid growing to this gypsum so that I can give this town up here a few extra tiles for it to grow to, so that it doesn't get like pop capped really early into its life. So I'll grab this nice production tile here, and the big focus on for us is we want to get those production tiles up. Production is king in a very big way in Civilization 7. So we have all of our buildings in here. We have our bazaar. We have our stone cutter. This city is cranking out production. Let's grab some Bolyars to fill out these Tarkans that are going to be sent to the distant lands. You had bad luck. You didn't find anything. You did, however. That is fabulous. Right, keep on exploring. We're getting good knowledge. We definitely want to get a city up here. We will start out on probably some settlers in the not too distant future. Probably start out on settlers once I fill these guys. And let's grab that production tile right there. In Thane, again, we want to continue to grow to really nice production tiles. There's like a 1 food, 2 production. That's a great tile right there. Rusakad, keep growing to the production tiles. We want to avoid non-production tiles unless they have a resource. Resources are worth growing to. Coming into Hippo, we would like to build a bazaar, but the bazaar in this city isn't as good. There is a +4 bazaar right there, which is pretty darn good. It does hurt us on the happiness front, but I will grab it. I love money. Utica, we could also get a really good +7 bazaar right there. We are going to be switching over to science buildings ahead of that, and we don't want to build too many in the way of gold buildings. I might actually use gold to get my science buildings up. It might be faster. And speed appeals to me. I'm a big fan of momentum. Yeah, unlucky that my boat died over there. One of our boats got lost at sea while trying to cross the distant lands. So there's astronomy. We have access to the observatory and the fleet commander. We're going to come into Carthage. I'm going to purchase the observatory here. This is a +4 observatory, but I would rather have the +3 here because this is a better setup for a gold building. So I'm going to grab that. That's a +7 science per turn, which is excellent. I'll save up my money. Production or happiness on the Colosseum. Let's grab the production. Why not? Isabella's going to give me a ginseng agreement. I'll accept that. And now we're going to go ahead and start researching cartography so that we can enter deep ocean. Yes, because we need to get our army commanders across the ocean as soon as possible. Good. Exploration is happening. There's lots of resources for us to capture. You fortify there. There's no time for this boat to rest. It needs to explore so that we can grab those coastal goodie huts. +1 swordman from Shan Jing. Good. 7 turns until we get suzerainty of it. That would be fantastic if we could grab it. Motya has grown. I'm going to grow up here because I would like to grab that silver inside my empire. I'm going to grab the 20% food for 10 turns because it's going to help my empire reach its pinnacle. I feel like the food is really good early into the age, but the other one becomes better late into the age. We'll keep producing Bolyars in the capital because our goal is to still fill out these army commanders. I need 1 more Bolyar here. We're pretty heavy on the archer side of things, but that's fine. We will be sending further waves of Tarkans to the New World. I'm saving gold mostly so that we can purchase the observatory in our cities because we need to get a reasonable amount of science early into the age so that we can get to heraldry pretty quick and also shipbuilding, as well as some of these mastery techs which are going to help us scale our empire up a bit. We just have a lot of like little sort of things that we need to make sure we... Oh wow, I didn't know that this island was here. This does not count as distant lands, which is interesting. You go ahead and heal up here so that's nowhere else for you to explore. Coming into Hadramutun, let's buy the observatory. Now it says there's a +7 over here. That's +3 on its own adjacencies, but also +1 to the Kothon. So I'm going to go ahead and buy that right there. And then I will tell the city to build a bazaar on the same tile. How long would it take me to unlock a land production building? I wouldn't get it until metallurgy, whereas I could have this gold building cranking away from me pretty early into the game. It's 5 gold per turn at the cost of 3 happiness. It's not too terrible. It's not too bad. I do like it as an option. Let's do it. Trying to keep our gold per turn strong and our science per turn even stronger. All right, let's move the Tarkans into the water so we can start getting them across. That's one of our primary objectives, is getting military units across the Great Divide. Now, I'm pretty sure if you step onto a shipwreck, it auto heals your ship to full health, but I could be wrong. Yeah, auto healed. Boom, love it. You can find shipwrecks on your way across the ocean. Now, do we want the temple? The temple is a really good building. I think we would like to purchase the temple. I'm going to place it on top of the altar. That will get me my religion. I'm going to pick up a very particular religion. We're going to be, I love bugs. That's going to be our religion. And we are going to be taking evangelism because I believe that this is the strongest reliquary belief in the entire game. And in addition, we're going to take Holy Ecumene because I think this is the strongest belief for religion in the game as well. Basically, it allows you to convert missionaries into culture, which is a kind of a rare interaction. Sabratan is particularly good. It has grown. Let's grab production tiles. That's our priority in almost all of our cities, is we want to increase our production. We finished piety. we're going to start researching inspiration. We want to make our way mostly towards society so that we can get the House of Wisdom. Now, Carthage has some options in terms of what it could build. A Tarkhan wouldn't be terrible. A fleet commander also wouldn't be the worst to help out with our armies and fleets on the warpath, because we do plan to invade the New World. Let's grab that 200 gold from this coastal edifice. You're healing, that's fine. I need to buy a couple of more science buildings. We'll have to chill for a couple of turns. Technically, the best place to cross is actually over here. So I'm going to send my guys down this way. Rusikat has grown. We don't have very many high production tiles for us to grab. Hippo has finished its production. Let's purchase the observatory. What do we have in terms of adjacency? +1. We don't have particularly good adjacencies. There's a +1 here with a +1 food. I don't think I would like to build that. I think I'll just build it right there on this woodcutter. It's fine. So we've got our science pumping up. That's good. We could place a specialist on this to get a little bit more science out of it. I would rather put a specialist into my Kothon because that's food, production, science, and culture. I think that's really efficient, actually. And then when we come into Hippo, we don't have particularly good temples. So we're basically trading for 3 gold per turn and a bunch of production for 4 happiness. So I don't know if that's worth it just yet. Perhaps I would be much happier if I was producing Bolyars for the invasion, or even a Tarkhan. Utica, on the other hand, does have adjacency for a temple. So there's like a +5 right there. That's probably a good spot for an observatory as well. So we could do like science observatory tile here. That way we get happiness and science from the same tile. I think that's not a terrible idea. I'm going to put a specialist onto the Kothon because I think our Kothons are actually very valuable, and it helps set us up with a baseline of science, culture, production, food, all those things. It just sets our empire up into a really good place. Ooh, you know what we need to start producing now? We need to start producing our settlers. So after this Tarkhan, I'm going to go ahead and get you to queue up a settler. I need to save up for Utica. So if we have a settlement in distant lands, we get an expansionist attribute point. I'm more than happy to do that quest because we do plan to do that. Ruz Gunier has grown. Let's keep grabbing these nice production tiles. They're not the strongest production tiles, and we haven't actually bought our stone cutters just yet. Stone cutters are good. It's just not time to get them yet. We have other things that we want to prioritize early into the age. So do I have the money in Utica to purchase an observatory? I do. There's a +6 observatory right there. Boom. Love it. So we've managed to get our science up to about 100 per turn, which is not overwhelming or game breaking, but it's decent. Let's grow to this tile right here. Your 10 turns on your growth. This city-state was killed. Let's see if we can befriend Roskilde. We will actually beat him because we have a friendship. A higher baseline friendship with them. I'm very excited about these islands that we're finding. Not many in the way of treasure resources, sadly. All right, let's start crossing the ocean. Ah, lovely. We found a thin part of the ocean that we can cross. So we're definitely going to want to get a settlement over here to make the crossing a little bit easier for us. Hadrometum has grown, and I think the big thing is to try to get production in this city. We would love to get that niter for the naval unit combat strength. But again, the production is the thing that we need. Friendship with Xerxes, yes please. Hadrometum could build a temple. It doesn't have a particularly strong temple at this time, so instead I'm just going to build a settler. We'll need, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 settlers. We could probably skip this one because it is just dies. All right, we have met Stockholm over here in the new distant lands. Oh, there is a shipwreck right there. I would like to touch it, but I also want to make sure I fully explore these islands. So there's cartography. We have access to the wharf, which gives resource capacity as well as food, in addition to the ability to cross deep ocean with our scouts and civilian units. And thankfully, army commanders count as civilian units, meaning we'll be able to get across the deep waters a little bit sooner. Idalion has grown. Let's grow down to the south so we can capture more tiles for this, so the city has more potential. Motya has grown. We will grab the silver. 11 turns until that city grows. It's still a good amount of time. We could go for feudalism here for the +1 settlement limit, but we're going to go for machinery because we want to rush tier 2 Bolyars so that we can go hard into killing our enemies. I'm trying to remember, is there a city that no, I think I bought all 4 of my observatories to boost my science per turn, and now I could start sort of finishing some of my towns with stone cutters. I'm going to buy a stone cutter to the south because we want to get over to this river tile so that we can build our grist mill and our grain mill, or on our sawmill. I like this 2 food 2 production tile here in Thenay. Some good stuff. We have a new Tarkhan. I will send them over here to get them geared up to get more reinforcements. We will be making more Bolyars. Then you can go ahead and explore to the south. We can welcome immigrants. Sure, let's get a migrant. I'll place that migrant in Carthage. and we will work a production tile right there. We'll go to the next turn. Okay, Carthage has finished a settler, so that's 1, 2. How many settlers am I making right now? I'm making 3. I have 1, so this will be another one. I'll send you out to this tile right there. I could get you a granary. It's not the worst building. It would get me closer to building these grist mills, so we will do it just for the sake of that. There's a coastal edifice here. The tile can become a fishery source. That's really cool. I really like how you actually, like, the map can change slightly, even if it's only in kind of small and limited ways over the course of a game. But I love that you can kind of modify it and create fish resources. That's a really cool gameplay mechanic, and I'm a big fan of it. Man, I'm just sitting here with a big smile on my face, man. We're back. We're playing Civ. The game feels so good to play right now. Like, the new patch just... it actually feels so good. So we have 1 settler here. We have 3 in queue. So 4 in queue. That would be all the settlers we need to settle this area. And that seals the deal. I gotta say, I think my least favorite mechanic in the game is the settlement limit. I don't like it. I don't like its implementation. I don't like how it feels. We have met a new civilization. I will give them a friendly greeting. Nice and friendly with you, good sir. We got a narrative choice here. We can form an alliance with a civilization in distant lands to get +1 influence on gold buildings. That's actually insanely powerful. Rusicade here. I think it does make sense to develop this because these buildings give a lot of value for how cheap they are. So I'll grab myself the saw pit. That's 2 food, 1 production. I would also like to get the granary and the stone cutter. So we'll do granary right here, plus the stone cutter right there. And then this city will regrow to a production tile. It's still growing in 8 turns, which I think is a good amount of time, so I'll let it continue to grow. I'm going to move you up onto this tile to heal, and I'll kind of heal up my ships around here. Let's go explore this navigable river. This is an aspect of the game that I really enjoy. I love going down the navigable rivers. It feels incredible. It's super, super fun. Let's pillage this. What do we get? Oh yeah, 120 influence. Hell yes. So unfortunately, this city-state we were trying to befriend was killed. I might go for Tondo here. It could be good if we get Tondo. Chiang Mai too, if we could get just a couple of those city-states would be nice. I'm a big fan of city-states. You step up there, you're going to heal in place, and you need to wait, unfortunately, because there's not enough room for you to heal. But you could scout to the north. Beautiful. All right, I've got a Tarkhan in position. I want to send some Bolyars and keep getting more Tarkhans on the way, because we're basically doing an all-out invasion of the New World. Okay, a settler is completed. I'm going to send another one over here. We can grow the town of Leptis. That's Leptis's final growth event that matters. So I'm going to go ahead and assign Leptis an ability. I do think Hub Town is extremely powerful in this age. However, I also think Fishing Town is really quite strong, because if I remember correctly, we have a policy here that gives us an extra 20% food from Fishing Town, so that would make this a lot more efficient. It would start to feed my cities a little bit better. I don't think this makes sense to turn it into a mining town. I think a fishing town is fine. A trade outpost is reasonable because the +5 trade route range is actually quite powerful. I don't think the religious site makes a lot of sense. I do think Hub Town, for me right now, it's Hub Town, trade outpost, or fishing town in this place. And I just don't think that this town is in a really good position to be a hub town as it currently stands. It could be a really good trade outpost or a fishing town, but I think this particular town serves a really good purpose as a fishing town, and it is feeding Carthage and Utica, which is amazing. So we know for a fact that Carthage and Utica are getting fed by Leptis, which means these cities are going to start growing a little bit quicker. So that food is kind of being pushed towards cities where it matters more. And we want Bolyars to start filling out the army commanders, crossing the waters with our coggers. All right, awesome. We've got a settler here. We're going to be grabbing ourselves incense, dyes, gypsum, and whales. Boosh. This is our first settlement on distant lands. We get the expansionist attribute point, and we can go ahead and grab ourselves the +1 population in towns, and new towns start with an extra population, which is fantastic. All of our towns are going to grow now. I don't want to grow you just yet, but I guess I have to. I suppose that's fine. You're going to grow. I'll grab this tile so that you grab those nearby tiles. Thene is going to grow. Again, keep going for those production tiles. We want production over anything else, because every ounce of production that we get into our towns is gold that flows through the coffers of our empire. Rusicad, you've kind of reached your growth potential. There's not really a huge amount more that we can do here. We can get a little bit of happiness. Sredets, which is the new town, gets a double growth event. Hippo is in kind of interesting shape. It might be good to keep producing settlers, because there is land up here that we can settle. You know, we've got like little treasure resources here. There's a lot of interesting things that we could do. So I think we're going to prioritize settling because we're encountering a lot of empty land. Okay, so Thene is finished. It's still growing. Malith would like its stone cutter and its granary, honestly. So I'll get you a stone cutter, and I'll buy you a granary over here to expand your borders a little. Just a little chunk. Ruzgunier is growing quite slowly, so it's probably going to be the last time that I let it grow. 1, 2, 3. So I need to settle on either of these tiles. I think I'll settle on this one. And I need to settle here. So I'll settle right there. Perfect. Trying to get my units to not go through the bad lands, the bad stuff. We found Thera. Thera has got to be the wonder that I find like in every single game or something, dude. All right, there's machinery, gristmill, sawmill, catapult. Utica has grown. And again, we want to focus heavily on production, because production is the resource that gives us agency. It is the thing that makes us stronger. We're going to go for heraldry so that we can get the tier 2 Bolyar as well as the Rila Monastery. And this Tarkhan is waiting. You're almost healed. You are fully healed, so I can send you out. You're going to step forward, make your way up there. I'm going to move this cog to the north. There we go. We found the Great Barrier Reef. Amazing. Oh yeah, there's so much settleable land here. You take a few turns to heal. The Tassa River has flooded. We finished Inspiration. The Haleo Kiwi is finished. In theory, we could build it right here, and I'm not against building the Haleo Kiwi. In fact, I'm very much in favor of building it because it has lots of relic slots. So let's give it a go. It only takes 5 turns. We're going to go for Society and then Society Mastery because we want that House of Wisdom. Boyar, get in there. I'm going to heal these guys up inside a safe zone. My settler is in position. Excellent. I don't care that I'm going over the limit and that's going to hurt my empire. Let's grow here. Plus, you're going to struggle for production. So let's focus you on just growth, which means we're going to get you a fishing key and then that's basically it. But it's crazy that this town takes as much maintenance as this town. You know what I mean? If not more. Like, I don't like how punished I feel as a player for settling extra cities because it feels like I'm being punished for doing a fun thing. It's like the game, it just makes the game feel worse, I think. All right, somebody else built the Haleo Kiwi, so I'll go for the Serpent Mound. Why not? It'd be good to get a wonder or two schlocked in. We don't have any particularly good production tiles, but I'll grab this one right there. Diplomatic action, I can ally with Isabella, that's fine, we will. Let's settle this city. Our yields are going to start tanking because we're going so over our limit. There's an expansionist attribute point. 50% yields in cities, in towns with a specialization, that's excellent. Let's grab the wine. There's the French Empire unlocked and we'll kind of grow down this way. Tarnovo has a little bit of room, so it can function slightly better as a city. Might not be a bad place to make a city. For now though, we're going to focus on getting the fishing key. Keep exploring here to the left. I don't necessarily want to be friends with Stockholm. Me and Sweden have history. All right, we have a new friend. We have met Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman, what's the story? So coming into Utica, it would be nice to build the grist mill and the sawmill for the long-term return on investment from the warehouse buildings. I do need to think about, like, what do I want to actually build, however? Like, should I go for more settlers? We're up to 11 turns of settler in here. And I think we're also at negative 17 happiness, which is going to be really hard to deal with. A Tarkhan in here would actually help this city in terms of a garrison. So I think I'll get started on a Tarkhan because a Tarkhan will eliminate some of the happiness penalty. This is the city of Utica. So if we could find Utica here and put a pearls in there, that's going to help it out quite a bit. So like right now, the biggest barrier in this city is its happiness. Dude, my army commander is getting smashed by this water. I feel like they're taking double damage or something. All right, 250 gold for Tondo. And I'm going to deploy a Bolyar onto this tile and then move my Tarkhan up onto that tile. And I will do the same thing with this Bolyar and this commander. So we're now officially on land in the distant lands. All right, another settler has finished. We're going to start moving him out. Brusicade has grown. Let's prioritize growing to happiness tiles now that we have serious negative happiness. Hippo could build a temple. It's at -6 happiness per turn. It would be really nice to get that temple. Now that temple has a lot more value because we're actually negative on happiness, so I'll pop it right there with the thing. Yeah, I know I'm over the limit. All right, I'm going over the limit on purpose, dude. Yeah, I think Rusicade could get its specialization now. It's 13 turns to grow. It's honestly, actually, you know what? That's actually not that bad. I might just let it keep going. Bring our cog in so that we can start hitting Stockholm. We would like to clear that. Let's drop a Bolyar right here and we'll move our Tarkhan across. This Tarkhan will drop another Bolyar. We'll move you out and I'll drop a heavy archer on your tile while you heal safely. We'll start clearing these guys out. Yeah, we definitely need settlers to start getting over here. Also, I need to spend gold on my towns like Malith over here. Probably good for me to get the gristmill and the sawmill. Gristmill and the sawmill. There we go. Malith is now basically fully built. Probably worth it for me to get a temple in here to avoid negative happiness penalties. It's growing in 1 turn, so we'll leave that. Idalian needs a couple more buildings. Where's the gristmill going? Right there. And then where's the sawmill going? Right there. Perfect. Then we'll come back to here. It's safe now to grab this. You're ready to grow. Keep growing to production and happiness tiles. We just need to keep cranking our yields. At a certain point, no matter how much negative happiness we have, the game can't hold us back. That is the beautiful thing about playing Civilization 7, is no matter how much negative happiness you have, you can't get more than minus 30 in each individual city. Or minus 35 at least. All right, Tarkhan, I want you to capture this. This has happiness or culture. We'll take the happiness. You step in here, kill that. My Bolyar will come in as well, helping out. Remember, they ignore rough terrain. It's really nice. I'm really looking forward to settling all this stuff. Malith has grown. Production tile, of course. Dyes tile. Now, important thing to note here is Malith no longer needs to grow. I do think that a hub town is really valuable here. I also think a trade outpost is really valuable. Increasing your trade range is actually surprisingly good, and it's +2 happiness in the city for each resource, right? That's 4 happiness right there. That eliminates some of the negative penalties. So I think I'm going to go for either mining town or trade outpost, but I'm going to go for trade outpost. I think that's not too bad. I'm going to just accept this denouncement of military presence. I had no plan on attacking you just yet. I've only just begun to land on the distant world. All right, we'll shoot with this cog. Coggers. I hate just how punishing it is to keep settling. Let's grow in Tarnovo to the fish. You're no longer growing. You're growing. Grow. Diplomatic action. Thank you for the cultural agreement. I think I'm going to go for the extra food. 20% production towards overbuilding. Carthage could use a grist mill and a sawmill as part of foundationally building up the economy, but we also need a lot of Bolyars. Okay, Carthage, grist mill, sawmill, wharf. I don't think I want to purchase those in here. I would like to hard build them. I think this town could also make use of a Tarkhan garrison, so we'll get to work on that. Okay, we are attacking. We're going to step in here. We got a promotion. We're going to pillage for another promotion. And also we get a nice science boost, which is going to allow us to upgrade our Bolyars to tier 2 and start building the Relic Monastery. The Relic Monastery is so important to our game plan that I would like to start building it now. What does it need to be placed on? Cannot be placed adjacent to a district. Got it. Uh-oh. None of my cities can build it. That's really bad. Right, there's a militaristic attribute point. I think the free level on commanders is awesome, so we'll take that real quick. Now all of these commanders have leveled. I always like maneuver and assault as the first 2 promotions. I think those are just the meta. These are the best ones. They give your army commanders just so much mobility and power. We're going to close out the assault tree using this Tarkhan so we can get the order promotion for the +5 combat strength. We're sort of hitting a peak of power right now. And I think this is a fantastic area to wrap up this episode. I think the big takeaway that I'm getting in the game right now is that the thing that I like the least about the game is the settlement limit. And I would much rather have some other gameplay mechanic, but I really don't like the settlement limit. I don't like how the settlement limit feels on the gameplay. And I would like that limit to be done in a different way. I much preferred the way settlement limits worked in Civilization 5, in Civilization 6, even Civ 4. I think this is my personal least favorite way to handle the settlement limit mechanic. I understand that it does what it's intended to do, but I don't like it. Yeah, that's my personal opinion. Okay, I'm gonna cut this episode here. I want to thank you guys very much for watching. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!